Hello guys, and welcome to my first track walkthrough video. Yeah, it's taken me a little while to get everything set up properly, but I think we're finally there. This should be the first video of many. So I thought for the first track walkthrough video, we'll take a look at the project for my song Nostalgia. It's quite a few years old now, but I think it's probably the most popular track that I've released. I think to this date it's had 1.9 million streams on Spotify. After I released it, I had quite a few people messaging me, new fans, new followers, asking about the track, reaching out and asking specifically about the vocals. Where did the vocals come from? I saw in Reddit as well, in the forums, that a lot of people again were asking where the vocals were from. I'm quite curious about this track, so I thought it'd be a really good one to start these walkthrough videos off with and talk a bit about my creative process, break it down so you can look at the track itself, maybe talk about the inspiration behind it, but also talk about maybe how I would have done things differently now if I was to remake this track. As I've been going through, there's quite a lot of stuff I've been thinking, why did I do it like that, or what was I thinking? There's a lot of older VSTs as well, which I don't tend to use now, so I thought that would be quite interesting to discuss as well. So yeah, I'll give you a bit of a backstory about the track and the inspiration. It was released in 2020, so that was kind of COVID times. I think I was working on this during one of the lockdowns, and I was experimenting with a lot of this kind of synthwave 80s crossover into progressive, but also I was watching quite a lot of series. In particular, we were watching a lot of Black Mirror, which is a bit strange considering the whole pandemic was a Black Mirror episode almost. There was an episode called San Junipero, which I think is, in my opinion, is the best episode of Black Mirror. If you haven't checked it out yet, definitely go watch that episode. The way it's done is really clever. It's got a good storyline, which has got a big twist at the end in a typical Black Mirror style. It's got kind of this 80s aesthetic about it. It's set in this 80s world almost, which obviously was a big inspiration for this track. The soundtrack for it was really, really nice as well. I think it was by Cliff Mansell. I know a lot of you were guessing in the comments section and again on Reddit where these vocals were from. So yeah, that's kind of a backstory about the track. It's not really a dance floor track. It was never made for the dance floor. It's kind of quite dreamy, quite chilled out. It's dark in its own kind of way. I have tried playing it live, but it never really has the impact on the dance floor. I think it's much more of a kind of, I don't know, maybe a festival daytime set or early evening sunset vibes. It might do really well. I don't often get those time slots, unfortunately. But yeah, it wasn't made for the dance floor. So let's take a look at the project. It's actually quite a simple project. There's not loads going on, and as I mentioned before, there's a lot of stuff I would have done differently now. There's a lot of old VSTs. I think we've got Silent in there. The original Pro Q is in there as well. I've actually had to download some of these again just so I can open this project file, but as we go through I'll explain how I would have done things differently maybe. So yeah, let's take a look at the project then. It's actually quite a simple project. So it's made at 140, which is kind of the gold standard for offbeat progressive, this kind of progressive. I know everything's getting faster and faster these days, going up to like 142, 145, some producers, but I think for me in this kind of style, 140 is kind of the gold standard. A lot of my other stuff is slower, tends to be 136, 138, and some of the techno crossover, but I think for this kind of offbeat, 140 is a good balance. I believe it's in D sharp minor, the track, so kind of moody. I always tend to write in minor. I prefer the moody scales. So let's have a look at the project and see what we've got going on. I think I'll probably start with the synth groups and then we can come back to, we'll have a look at the kick and the bass and the rest of the elements. So we'll start with this vinyl synth group, which I've kept separately from the synth group, the main synth group, which you'll see why soon. So first off, we've got this deep pad, kind of analog sounding pad, which kind of sets the tone for the rest of the track. And this is just a sample, but it's paired up with this vinyl crackle. And all of these are running into this vinyl synth group. So there's not much processing on each one. We're just running it into this vinyl synth group. We're just rolling off some of the low ends. And it's all going into this vinyl emulator, which I believe is from Isotope. I think it's for free. But it kind of creates this vinyl sound, kind of worn out lo-fi sound. So we've got it on the 1980s setting, obviously. And we've got a little bit of wear, some dust on there as well. And then I've got the warp cranked right up, which is giving it that kind of speeding up and slowing down kind of pitch. So if I crank it right up, you can really hear it. So yeah, it's giving that warpy sound. I don't tend to use this one anymore. There's a much better one. This one's Sketch Cassette. Aberrant, I believe it's by, which is not for free. You do have to pay for it, but I think you've got much more control. You've got all these different cassette types. You can control how worn it is. Let me just play it with it on. We've got this hiss button, and the saturation on it is amazing as well. You've got this really cool dropouts feature as well. So I tend to use that one now. I think it's much better, but at the time I only had the vinyl emulator, so that's what Nostalgia was made with. So yeah, both the vinyl crackles and the deep pad are going into the vinyl. We've also on that group got this Fury bass. Let's see if we can find it. Here we go. Which is just playing kind of the root notes of the chord progression. And that is from Mono Fury by Full Bucket Audio. And I think I'm just using one of the presets called Reso Bass. I didn't actually change much on it. It was just kind of, I liked the sound of it straight out the box really. And then we've got a bit of kickstart on there, just a bit of sidechain. I believe that one you can download for free from the Full Bucket website as well, so that's another cool. I'm not sure which analog synth it's supposed to be modelled on, but yeah, it sounds really nice and kind of retro style. Yeah, you can hear that's warping as well. That's going through that vinyl synth group. This particular patch I've got here, I'll just show you, is going to be included in my new Serum 2 preset pack, Signature Sounds. So I'm still finishing it at the moment. Where have we got it? Deep pad here. But I've gone through all of my old projects, any sounds that I tend to use quite a lot. I'm now putting into a Serum 2 preset pack with all the macros and everything. So I've created this analog drift. If I play that, you've got this lo-fi knob. You can add how much dust you want as well. So that's going to be in my new preset pack. So be sure to look out for that. Also, all of my Patreons, the mid-tier, the Backstage Pass and the Masterclass will be getting all of these presets for free. So be sure to check out my Patreon page if you haven't already. So that kind of covers all of the vinyl synth group. The reason I processed it separately from the main synth group, I believe, is, well, again, because I want to have that vinyl emulator on there, but also there's some automation on the synths that I wanted to keep separate. So now we'll go on to the main synth group, and we've got the main element, this OBX ARP, which I'll play for you here. Comes in on the main break. So those notes kind of bounce around the main chord progression. It's kind of a ARPy kind of sound. It's actually made with OBX, which again, I believe it's another free synth you can download. I can't remember who makes it. Does it say? OBXD website. No, I can't remember who makes it. But again, it's quite a simple emulator, virtual analog synthesizer. The actual sound itself is really simple. If I turn off all of this processing, you can hear it's a really basic sound. I think it's just two saw waves that are stacked on top of the square or the sine wave underneath. So you can stack these on top, a bit of spread in unison to make it a bit wider, and short decay on the filter envelope. So it's a really simple sound. It's actually the processing that makes it sound really big if I take you through all of these one by one. So first up, we've got the sausage fattener. Which you can just hear really beefs it up. I've got it on 10%, a bit of fatness and the colour, so it just gives it that really big sound. Then we're running it through a chorus. I've used chorus on a lot of stuff on this project, a lot of the synths, because I think it gives it that, again, that 80s kind of synth wave sound. So I'll play it with this chorus on. Kind of gives it that delayed, phasey kind of sound. Got it all the way cranked up, 89% wet. And then we're running it through a reverb. Quite a bit of reverb, a 40%, a 3.97 decay. It just gives it a lot of space. Then a bit of ping pong delay. And then this little trick I like to do quite a lot on these sort of synths. I always like to put a heavy compression after the reverb or the delay, just because then not only is it kind of squashing the original sound, but you're also getting the tail of the reverb is getting squashed with the original sound as well. So it just kind of gives it this really fat, airy kind of sound. So I'll play it with the compressor. So I've got the makeup gain on, so kind of really pushes. You can hear it's really pushing and squeezing the tail of the reverb and the delay. So that's a little trick I like to do quite a lot. After that, we've just got some sidechain with the original kickstarts. Which is automated to come on the main drop. I think it's turned off the rest of it. Yeah, you can see it's automating up. And then just a limiter to catch any peaks. It's not really doing much at all. It's just a tiny bit, anything that peaks over. So that's the main ARP that I used. That is kind of the main melody in the track. I then bounced some of these lower notes here. Where are they? In this section. Yeah, these lower notes here, I went through and I did a bit of recording, some of the automation with the filter cutoff into a new audio group. So yeah, this OBX recording group. So you can hear it's just kind of adding a almost psychedelic element to it, and that sits with the main ARP as a kind of call and response. So next up we've got the chorus lead. Let's find a section where it's playing over here. I think this was one of my favourite elements in the whole track. I think when I kind of added it, it just really helped things kind of progress nicely. It gives the track some rhythm. It's just playing a few simple notes. And that is made with, believe it or not, it's made with Sylenth, which surprised me because I never use Sylenth anymore, but I was obviously keen on it at the time. So what have we got going on here? Just part A, we've got just two oscillators, saw waves. One is pitched down an octave lower than the other. I think I've got the portamento cranked up about halfway, which is giving it that glidey sound between the notes. I've got a filter envelope on with a little bit higher sustain than some of the other sounds. Again, I've got chorus on. I think the chorus makes it sounds quite dry without the chorus. It kind of puts it in that 80s world with the chorus. Quite a bit of distortion, some reverb, and some compression, which is all within Silent. And then processing, we've got again a bit of fatness from Sausage Fattener with some colour on. Some reverb. And again, another sidechain. Quite simple stuff, really. Simple idea, but I think it really makes and I think I brought it again in the main drop, which is just a nice element. I think it was here, wasn't it? Just helps it kind of tick over. And then we've duplicated the exact same channel and then put on this little riff here. But this is going into a return channel on a ping pong with a ping pong delay. And that, I think that was the reason I decided to put it in a new channel. I mean, it's going to a return track, so it shouldn't have really, it wasn't really necessary. This would have come through the ping pong here, but I decided to do it like this for some reason. So I'll play those two together. I think it was just to give it a bit more space in the mix, keep these two channels separately. So next up we've got this 80s pad. I believe this was just a synthwave sample that I've just chopped up. Chopped up and pitched. And then we've just got a bit of reverb, some sidechain, and then we've got some automation with the volcano. I think that's at the beginning somewhere. Oh yeah, here. That's just to automate the frequency up. This is another one that I've been recreating into my new Serum 2 preset pack, so you can hear it here. So yeah, sounds very similar. It's just got a Juno stacked with another Juno, a square wave. So I'm still working on this. I'll do all macros for it. That will be in the pack as well. Then next up we've got these plucks, which are just quite generic kind of dead mousey progressive plucks. I'll play these. Yeah, you probably hear those sort of sounds in a lot of progressive. I think it's just playing the chord progression with, is it a fifth or a seventh? But it just helps fill out. I've not used it much at all in this track. I've just used it to help with some of these transitions, I think. Yeah, I've only used it 4 times really. Sometimes I've used it quite a lot more in tracks. But yeah, it's quite a generic sound, but I just find it helps fill out the track quite nicely. This was made with Silence as well. So yeah, we've just got 2 saw waves with 8 voices, really short decay on the filter envelope, nothing special, bit of distortion, bit of reverb and compression. And then I've rolled off some of the low ends on Fab Filter. Actually, I've done quite a steep curve. I probably wouldn't go that steep these days, but yeah, it's cutting off from 200 Hertz and then it's running through kickstart for some sidechain. I'm just automating the filter up so that in context sounds like this. It just really helps those transitions from those bits. It just kind of gives it more impact when the next phase comes, the next drop. Then after that, we've got the fab stabs, I call them. Again, another very generic sound. These are kind of just vengeance sounds that they just kind of fit in the track, really. You hear them everywhere. I call them fab stabs because I think Fabio used to use them loads. I think he probably still does, but there's no processing even on them. I've just used them straight out the box just to, yeah, kind of create a bit more impact on these drops. I mean, to be honest, they're quite subtle in the background. You can't even hear them, but... And then we've got another sample, this atmosphere, which you might recognise. Again, I've just used the sample. Don't be afraid to use samples, guys, if it works. I think this was from a synthwave sample pack. No processing at all, really. Just some sidechain. But that just helps fill out the track, gives it a nice ambience. Again, another sample. I think this was from a synthwave pack. A horn. Massive tail on it. But what I've done is I've used another, I can't remember if this is the original sound. Yes, it is the same sound. I've used the same sound, but I've looped the tail end of that sample. So this sample I've put into a sampler and just looped some of the tail of it, some of the reverb. So it's just playing backwards and forwards. I've got a filter on it, which is being mapped. It's mapped to macro 1 with some automation. And then I've just got some kickstart on that as well. So those together, it just kind of, it makes the tail even longer. So I'll play them together. But it also means that I've got more control, and it almost turns that sound into a bit of a pad. So those go quite nicely. This transitions up into that main horn. So those elements work quite nicely together. I've got another sample, pad build up it's called. I believe this is just one from, yeah, it's from Futurephonics. I've only used it in, yeah, I've just used it in one part of the track to help with the transition. Just like a big pad sweep. And then for this section, I've actually transposed it down just towards the end. Yeah, you can see I've transposed it down here. So I'll play that with the track.
I don't want you to see me. Whatever you are can't scare me.
And then we've got the lead. Again, this is one of the elements that I was really happy with in the track. I just loved the sound of it, and the notes I used. Yeah. One of those happy accident moments. So this lead here, which is by Mono and Fury again. The Polyglides preset. I can't remember if we've changed much in this patch or not, but this is how it sounds. That little element. So without the processing, it sounds like this. Kind of quite a simple sound, really. It's quite a kind of a retro-y sort of, yeah, simple analog sound. And just a little riff. It's only 3 notes. But with the processing, again, chorus. Lots of chorus in this project. Let me turn off. So that's with the reverb, just thickens it up and makes it wider. Oh, sorry, with the chorus, sorry. And then with the reverb, we went quite big with this reverb, 7-second decay, nearly on 50%. Gives it that sunset synth sound. And then tiny bit of boost there. I've just done a boost around. Boost the high ends. Some sidechain. And then a limiter, which I don't think's even doing anything. Oh, it is. Doing quite a lot, actually. I think the original sound was cranked quite high up, so yeah, it's just limiting some of that. And this little riff with the vocals was just kind of, it was, yeah, a real happy accident moment that just gave me goosebumps when I did it.
Make this easy for me.
I love that. So that covers pretty much all of the synth groups. In terms of processing on the main group, the main synth bus, we've just got, yeah, rolling off some of the lows. I've just got a bit of compression to control it all, and then just a limiter if anything creeps through, so nothing crazy on the whole group. So let's move on to the kick and bass group.